No, well, I wouldn't buy Ferraris, number one. The funny thing about traders, you'd think they were the showy bunch, but it's funny. When you start to trade, you don't want to put your money into anything but trading because nothing is more fun or productive. And so why would you waste it on anything else? Plus, in that place, you see people with real money. They don't own a Ferrari, they own 30% of Ferrari. These people are on a different, they don't, it's not like, your middle class, keep up with the Joneses mindset. These people understand what the market is. The market is an abstraction. So when you go out and you do work in this world, you build a business, you've got to deal with people, you've got to deal with physical problems, vehicles break down, you've got to deal with overdrafts, you've got to deal with people not coming to work. In this realm, it takes the same amount of work to turn 1,000 rand into 2,000 as it does to turn 100,000 into 200,000. It's simply not governed by the same set of laws. It's like a different place. So you can, you won't think in terms of having nice stuff. You'll think in terms of, it's a far more, satisfying victory than that could ever be. You are at peace because you've got this place that you can go that will forever aid you in whatever endeavor you're doing. If you're trying to save your mother's life because she's dying of cancer, if you're trying to make yourself rich to get an attractive girlfriend, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. The market can help you get there. It'll give you a reason to read the newspaper in the morning. It'll give you skin in the game. It'll teach you about yourself and how you deal with fear and greed. It'll teach you about the tendencies of the masses. It will teach you that a person can be clever, but people are stupid. And the best thing about it is that even if you have very little, you can enter that arena with the smartest, richest, most powerful people in the world and take their money. What could be more wonderful?
Okay, so I would say, Bianca, that because as a couple, I'd say managing the portfolios, like Michael said, is like having a third spouse in the relationship. So the nice thing is because we both have our salary incomes, the portfolio is literally something that works outside of that, outside of that
A
world.
subsidy.
Exactly. So we like Michael said, we keep our expenses quite low, but so instead of buying a house, we bought property stocks, and those return dividends, but it's very hard to invest enough in a house in order for it to actually deliver you a return over a period of time. So there is major benefits in having liquidity available and being able to make your money work for you in a very active way. Michael, can you add to that?
Yeah, like Mahi was saying, I think that in the modern world, you have to approach wealth creation in a completely different way. When, in the old days, a blue collar worker could have 2 cars, a house, and take the family on holiday twice a year. Those days, they're long gone. You can't buy a house for 15 grand anymore. Those days are gone. So I realized that there will be all your life many mature and wealthy people will give you advice about how they made themselves rich. They couldn't do it again today. It's not the same world. You need to deal with the current world. And the current world, liquidity makes you wealthy. You need to own what are called current assets. So anything that can be liquidated or turned into money within the next 12 months.
Okay. Michael, a list of companies that
Oh,
you've
portfolio is
invested
made
in.
up of. Okay, I trade instruments which are not available to you on the portfolio. We trade derivatives on the JSE. If you get a Standard Bank trading account, or even the EPSA one, I think has it, you can trade derivatives. The companies that I'm buying at the moment are those beaten down South African stocks that we're talking about, those retailers. I don't own the banks, but I do own some of the retailers. I also have lifelong holdings in companies like our platinum companies. But I have, it's not so much about how many shares I have or which shares I have. It's about how much I have in each share. I have, numerous shares in different portfolios, and they all serve different purposes. A lot of them are purchased simply because they have, they're not correlated with one another. And then some of them are, I might have a macro theory, or, I own pref shares, which simply pay interest-free or tax-free dividends annually, that kind of thing. So you think of it like an engine. So you want to build your portfolio, it's an engine. It's not a business, it's an engine, and it's got components. And those components are designed to do things. And if they work together, if you get an income portion allocated to your portfolio, it generates, you say, 8 to 10% a year, and that's reallocated like a machine into a different asset type, perhaps something with a little bit more like alpha, a little bit more potential profit, but a little bit more risk. And so you build your money machine. And this money machine can be scaled up or scaled down at your leisure. So it gives you a lot of, that digital realm gives you a lot of, hold whatever you want in that place a lot more easily than you would anywhere else. But like I say, good platinum companies, I've got them. I don't necessarily think they're about to spike, but they're good businesses. And I've got some local retailers.
Types of shares, preference shares versus ordinary shares?
Well, preference shares are actually shares, but then they act much more like bonds. They're not very volatile at all. They barely move by 5 or 10%. They simply pay a percentage of the prime interest rate at the time. So it could be less than the prime interest rate, or it could be more than the prime interest rate. But it's versus common equity, which is the kind that people are talking about when they say that Apple shares are going up or down. Pref shares are an income-bearing instrument, and common equity is a more of a capital appreciation issue. I definitely would not suggest buying any preference shares in this competition, but I don't think you can, because you're limited to the top 40. But the top 40 are some of the best businesses in the entire world, and they're extremely volatile, so they really will give you plenty of opportunities. In the long term, definitely suggest that you buy some pref shares. There's different income-bearing instruments that will give you passive income. And passive income's awesome, but you can get the dividend yields on some of the South African stocks in the top 40 are in the 5 to 10%. So, these are good numbers, because you get it just for holding the stock. And also, ironically, equities and dividends are extremely tax favorable instruments. So on top of being the easiest way to make money from a sort of a structural perspective, they also have a very favorable, they become subject to only capital gains tax if you hold them for 3 years or more. The dividends are pre-taxed before they're given to you, and they're quite negligibly taxed. So, there's a reason why the richest people you've ever heard of are all involved in the stock market.
All right. Any other questions?
That was an awesome session. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you for your time.